Hello everybody, it is Pudding here. I'm coming at you guys today with the grand finals of one of the REDU tournaments my friend hosts every month. And the finals is me on Gadgets against Tommy, who's a very strong Vancouver player. He won our last REDU event, and he's on Dino Rabbit. So I'm going to start off, I summon Green Gadget, search, and set 1. Tommy's just going to summon Cabazols. That's going to be met with a Solemn Warning. So I'm going to go down to 6k. Tommy's going to set the whole house and pass it back to me. I'm going to summon a red gadget, search a yellow gadget, and just poke. The great thing about the gadgets is playing into any back row is pretty favorable. Like, even if he TTs there, I'm still +1 on my total gadget chain. So I'm just going to summon those, pass back to him. If his back row isn't responding to my gadgets, I don't really want to overlay into a Gigant or something, fearing a Compulsor or Bottomless. And he's going to summon Tour Guide. I'm going to try and Phoenix Chain it, and he's going to Compulse it back. So there was something that would have stopped a Gigant, and I don't really want to lose that value. He's going to bring out a Sangan, Tour Guides in hand, pass it back to me. I'm going to summon a green gadget from my hand. And after that, I'm kind of thinking about what to do here. I'm pretty much going to have to give him the Sangan, because I know an Evigishki Merogeist is not going to get through back row. So I'm going to swing with the red gadget, and he's going to search Rescue Rabbit, and then I'm going to swing for a total of 28 direct, leaving Tommy at 25. Now I know he's got Rescue Rabbit and Tour Guide, and he's got 3 back row, some of which is probably live. So I'm going to kind of start pushing for something. I make a Maystroke. Maystroke is really good into Dino Rabbit, especially if one of those back row is like a Bottomless. He's used Compulses, so I doubt there's another Compulse there. And the Maystroke kind of allows you to get over a Lagia or just chump block a Dolka. So that's why I make that. He's going to go Rabbit. Rabbit effect. And this is actually where he's going to bring out 2 Sabersaurus. I think he changes his mind. Or maybe that's later. No, he brings out the 2 Cabazols. You want to get the Cabazols gone first, but if you've already used a Sabersaurus, then you go for the Sabersauruses instead, just so you keep the ability to use Rabbit again. But yeah, he's going to overlay for a Lagia. And he's going to swing over my green gadget. I'm going to try and deprison here just to bait out the material on the Lagia, which he's going to negate. And then he's going to set another back row. At this point, I know things aren't really looking too good for me, so I'm going to summon the red gadget here. And red gadget is going to fetch me another yellow gadget. I believe I have 3 gadgets in hand right now. 2 gadgets in hand. My hand is all gadgets, and then I believe Monster Reborn and Mind Control. So I'm going to activate the Mind Control and try and take the Lagia to push for lethal. That goes through, so we know there's not a Lance in the back, probably. Or he thinks his back row is strong enough to let him survive the turn. And here's where I kind of misplay. I'll talk about it when it happens. But I'm just going to swing with the red gadget and the Maystroke. The Maystroke is going to get deprisoned. And I actually did have a Monster Reborn. I should have kind of known that the back row was going to be something like a Warning or a Bottomless. Warning's turned off. But if I went for Reborn on the Gadget, I think I can swing for lethal, because even with the 1 deprison, that's lethal. But here I know he's got Tour Guide for a follow-up, and as I said, my hand is, I believe, 2 gadgets, so it's not doing anything. I have to try and make like a Gigant and just get a gear frame, because I can't even wall up behind Maystroke anymore, and that's going to eat the Bottomless. And at this point, I know the game's done. I've got 2 gadgets. He's got Tour Guide into Levier for the Rabbit for lethal, so I scoop. On to game 2, by the way, I'm up one match from the upper bracket. So Tommy has to win this and then beat me in another best of 3 after resetting the bracket to take the tournament. He's just going to set 1 and pass after I normal summon my red gadget. I'm going to summon yellow Gadget, add a green. And here I was debating on attacking. I don't think I had a very strong hand, so I go into Marrowgeist in case it's a Sangan, because I get kind of boned by a rabbit. And he flips up Sabersaurus. Now, I'm actually going to use Marrowgeist to shuffle the Cavazals back in deck. May seem weird giving him kind of an opportunity to make Rabbit live if he did Brick, but this just means I don't get absolutely boned by Monster Reborn. Means he needs a Rabbit to make a Lagia or Ulka. So I'm going to shuffle that back and pass to him after setting one back row. Tommy is going to set one monster in a back row and he's going to pass it to me. I'm thinking here, and I'm going to mind control that. I played Tommy earlier on in the tournament, and I knew he sided into Raikos. So I'm going to mind control the Raiko. That's obviously huge. I even hit a Fortress off the Raiko mill. And the reason I set the mind control, by the way, was because I was at hand limit, and I would have had to discard it if I didn't set. So I'm going to summon green Gadget after, and then I have the cannon in hand to special the Fortress I milled, so that's some pretty good luck my way. I'm going to swing first with green Gadget, then with the Marrowgeist for 21, and then with the Fortress for 25, putting Tommy at 2,000 life. At this point, he's going to drop his Gores with a 25 token. I thankfully have Soul Taker, so that's going to get rid of the Gores. Tommy's going to gain 1,000 life. And yeah, he gets his Raiko back, and I pass turn. I don't have any back row, but I think I still have 3 or 4 cards in hand, so fairly fat hand here. And Tommy's going to think for a while. I think we were talking about maybe what life was at, which is why there's a tiny bit of delay here. Tommy's going to look at his extra. And Fortress can be very, very hard for Dino Rabbit to clear if they don't have Dark Hole. 25 is a really big number. We're going to see Tommy activate Reborn. I'm going to chain Max C to that, draw a card. Tommy is then going to swing into the green Gadget with Gores, and I will take 1,300 damage. And he's going to set one monster and pass. So I'm going to draw for turn here. I'm going to normal summon yellow Gadget, adding a green Gadget. And at that point, I'm actually going to go ahead and swing into the token. So I'm going to take, I believe, 1,300, and I'm going to drop the Tragodia from my hand. And Trag is amazing in this deck. You can see how big my hand still is. I think the Trag's 3,000 with the search. So it can run over the course. I'm going to go ahead. I'm thinking what to attack here, and I end up attacking over the Gores with the Tragodia for 300. And then I swing with the Fortress into the Raiko, and with the Marrowgeist into the set, which is a Spirit Reaper. I still have a very, very big hand here. But just in case he has a system down, which I know Tommy does play, I'm going to go into a Photon Papilloperative. I'm going to go ahead and put that Gores token to attack, so it permanently loses 600. My thought process was he can't run over or crash with my Fortress here, and I can just kill the Spirit Reaper with the Papilloperative next turn if he can't answer that board. That was kind of a bit dumb of me, though, because I didn't realize that Pappy only makes it lose attack, so he's just going to change it back to defense. And 25 booty is actually kind of hard for me to get over. He sets a back row, sets another monster. I will be able to get the free change on the Spirit Reaper to kill it. And I'm going to MST his back row. It's another MST, so that's a little bit unfortunate. There goes my copy of Bottomless Trap Hole. And I think I just did not want to get TT'd here, because a TT would be absolutely devastating. And then I'm going to go ahead and summon a red gadget. I am out of targets. I'm out of gadgets in deck, so that's just going to just be a body there. I think I'm trying to save enough stuff to be able to make a rank for next turn, because I have another gadget in hand, I believe. But yeah, we're going to swing over a set, which is a Guaiba, and then pass back. Tommy's going to think for a while, and then he's going to Heavy Storm my back row, which was my own Heavy Storm, and then he's going to summon Thunder King and attack over the copy of Red Gadget. So this 2500 Gorge token is a real pain in the butt still. I don't really have any ways over it. I'm just going to swing over the Thunder King with Fortress for 600 damage and pass it back to Tommy. Tommy is going to go ahead and think for a tiny bit again. I got one new back row as well. And he's going to set what he draws and pass back to me. I get a good draw here. I believe this is the turn where I get something that can kind of help me out here. No, I'm just passing it back to Tommy. So I still can't out that. He's going to set another monster and pass to me. I'm going to go ahead and summon the gear frame that I top decked, which thankfully is going to allow me to make a rank 4 here. And we're going to go ahead and make something which is an incredibly powerful XYZ, totally still relevant today, Gem Knight Pearl, 2600, so it clears the token by 100. I could have also made like Fairy King Albert H, but that would have lowered all my other stuff. We're just going to swing with a Pearl. Tommy's going to check his back row and attempt to compulse it, but I have the Judgment here. And that is pretty much going to be a wrap. I'm going to attack the set. It's a Sangan. I can shuffle it back with Marrowgeist. And yeah, after that, Tommy concedes this. So we are now tied up at 1-1 in the first match of the series. Tommy will elect to go first, obviously. So I see Double Rabbit, Thunder King, Reaper, and a Warning. Rabbit is going to be summoned. Outcome 2 Cabzols overlaid into a copy of Lagia. And then 1 card is set. I'm going to draw. Look at my hand. Summon the copy of Gear Frame. This is always risky. You don't really want to kind of let this go through and get a Force or Fortress into rotation. So he's going to Warning that and save his Lagia Negate. I'm going to set 2 back row here and pass it back to Tommy. Tommy will draw. And he's going to summon the rabbit. I'm going to attempt to Torrential on the summon. Tommy's going to attempt to negate, and I'm going to chain Torrential. So this was actually a misplay. I 100% should have waited till he brought out the rabbits, because if he has a Lance there, I'm cooked. So that was not a smart play by me, but double Torrential saves my butt there. I think otherwise that game would have been over very quickly. I'm going to search a green gadget and swing in for a total of 1400 life. Pass it back to Tommy. Tommy's going to draw, summon a Cabzols. I'm going to deprison the Cabzols. That's kind of like, gadgets really like those 1-for-1 trades. It may seem bad, like bottomlessing a Cabzols or bottomlessing a Sabersaurus, but it means I get another +1 next turn, which can overlay into a +1 in Gigant and get me a Gear Frame, which is just like another +1 the next turn. If they can't get rid of the Gigant, it's another +1. So this deck does really well in simplified game states. But he Torrentials my second gadget and then follows it up with a Thunder King normal summon. So obviously Thunder King pretty strong against gadgets. Thankfully this list has a few outs, including main deck Soul Taker. But it is still a fairly problematic card. I'm going to go ahead and summon Fortress. He's going to gate. And then I have the cannon to re-summon the Fortress. And I'm going to swing for 25. And here's where I get incredibly punished, because Tommy has the Gores. He's going to drop that. And now I'm just in a very rough spot. He attacks. I'm going to have to blow up the token because I don't want to be at, like, negative life. And pretty much anything in my deck that outs the token outs the Gores. Then he's going to swing the Sabersaurus. I'm at 4k. Set a back row. Set a monster. Pass it back to Tommy. Tommy's going to swing with the Sabersaurus. It's max C. And then swing with Gores directly. So that's going to be 1900 damage. Or sorry, 2700. And then main phase 2 is going to summon Tour Guide. I guess he just didn't want to play in a Torrential here. And he's going to overlay with these guys for Levier. And the Levier is going to eat a Bottomless. And then he'll pass it back to me. But I draw and I concede because I can't do anything to that board. So we reset the bracket now. This is the final best of 3. Winner takes the series. And we roll dice. Tommy wins the die roll, so he will be starting in game 1. You're always praying that they don't have first turn Rabbit set like 4 back row. Thankfully, Tommy just sets 1 card and sets a monster and passes back. I'm going to summon Green Gadget, and I'm going to search. I'm going to prod just in case it's a Sabersaurus or Guaiba, which the deck sets quite a bit. It is the Cabazols, which is the only one that has enough defense to survive the Gadget Punch. So I'm going to take 100, and I'm going to set the house. I'm going to set 4 and pass it back to Tommy. Tommy is going to go ahead and normal summon Guaiba. I'm going to Torrential here, because that Gadget on field, like this is technically +1. My Gadget already replaced itself. And he's going to try and lance the Guaiba. I don't have a way to deal with the Guaiba currently. So at this point, I'm kind of forced into a rather unpleasant situation where I will actually Solemn Judgment that right off the bat. So I am still up 1 card from that, which is nice. And he's going to pass to me after. I'm going to normal summon the red Gadget, grab a yellow Gadget, and then just swing in for 1300. After which, I'm just going to pass back to Tommy. He's going to summon a direct Guaiba. That's going to be met with warning. So I'm very low now at 1950 to his 6700. He's going to set another back row and pass. I'm going to end phase MST it. I see it's Torrential. And I kind of knew the other back row didn't do very much, so I actually had the second MST anyway there, but we're going to summon another yellow Gadget, add a green, and now we're really on a plus train. Swing with both for 2500. The cool thing is this actually plays around Gores, because you can make Fairy King Alberditch in main phase 2, and then lower the Gores' attack. But I'm just going to go for Gigant to get the plus off the gear frame and pass it back to him. Tommy is going to think for a while and summon a direct Guaiba. He's going to declare an attack. I'm going to deprison that. That's definitely reading that he has a Lance, so I know one of those sets is Lance. And I'm just going to get another +1 off the Gear Gint, which will get me into a gear frame, searching a fortress. I'm going to swing for 18 and 23, leaving Tommy at 100 life. I'm going to set 1 back row and equip the gear frame to the Gigant. Tommy is going to set 1 monster. And actually, is he going to set 1? Looks like he might take that back. So I think he's just thinking at this point. No, he's going to set a monster and pass back. I'm going to draw. I'm going to use Gear Frame Effect to special summon itself. and I'm going to normal summon the other gear frame I searched. Here I really don't care about Torrential because I have Fortress Cannon in hand, so I can play around pretty much any back row he has. I'm going to attack. It's a Spirit Reaper, so that's going to keep him alive for now. In main phase 2, I'm going to overlay for Photon Papilloperative to try and get rid of that Spirit Reaper. And that goes through, so it's targeted, it dies. I'm going to set another background pass to Tommy. Tommy is going to draw. He's going to activate his Proset Storm and hit my Deprison and Compulse and his own Lance, so it was Lance, and then he's going to concede because the other card in his hand doesn't do anything. So I am up 1 game in the last match here. Tommy's going to start again. Draw a few cards. I saw Starlight Road in there. Not sure what else was in his hand, but we'll obviously see in a second. Tommy is going to go ahead and just set 2 back row and pass. And I'm going to summon a gear frame. Gear frame effect is going to search. And I'm going to swing for 1800. Pass it back to Tommy. Now I can assume he doesn't have a warning set currently. You would probably fire that off a little preemptively, just because a Fortress in rotation is really scary for Dino Rabbit. I'm thinking what to do here. I'm just going to poke in case I run into a Torrential main phase 2. And that will go through. So Tommy is at 4,400 to my 8,000. And then main phase 2, I'm going to summon a yellow Gadget and add a green Gadget. And I'm going to try and overlay afterwards. And just for safety, because I'm fairly certain there could be like a bottomless or something back there. And as said, Maestroke is amazing into him top-decking Rabbit. I'm going to make the Maestroke. And I'm going to have to discard for hand size for turn. So there goes Green Gadget. A lot of monsters in my hand. Tommy is going to summon Sabersaurus, set a back row and pass. So I think I'm thinking about what to do here. I'm going to change the Maestroke to attack. I'm going to book it. And after which, I'm going to go ahead and normal summon a green Gadget and use the effect. This play, I'm kind of committing a bit more, because if he Torrentials, my Maestroke survives and he loses a Sabersaurus. If he's got 1 Deprison in the back, then I can still clear the Sabersaurus with my green Gadget. So I just want that off, because with how monster heavy my hand is, a Dolka will probably mean I die. So I'm going to swing with the green Gadget. That goes through. And try and swing with Maestroke for 1800. That is going to get deprisoned, so Maestroke goes bye-bye. And then I'm going to set 1 back row and pass back to Tommy. I see an MST and a Rabbit in his hand. So let's see what he does. He's going to start with MST, targeting my set. That's also an MST. I'm going to chain it to his other back row, hit a bottomless, and then he's going to summon Rabbit. I got the max C for this. So this will be a +1 at the end phase when he, or if he decides to make something. He's going, this is where he goes for the Sabersaurus instead of the Cavazels, because he's already used a Sabersaurus, so you want the next Rabbit to be live. If you draw another Sabersaurus after, then you can't use Rabbit anymore in the game. So always draw, or always go for the one that you've already seen in that case, just to like minimize yourself on bricking. If you don't see anything, always go for the Cavazels, just because it's like weaker and nicer to have out of your deck. Tommy makes a smart play, makes Dolka. I'm pretty sure he knows I've got either Gores or Tragodia with the massive amount of cards I've got in my hand. I'm going to summon Gear Frame. I don't really know why I did that. I kind of want to make the Gores in my hand live. I think I have like maybe a Gores and a Tragodia. So I'm going to try and bait out one negate, and I think I had like a full hand. I think I had like 8 or 9 cards in my hand at that point. He's going to summon a Cavazels. I'm going to try and Torrential here, and I get punished hard by the Starlight Road. There comes the Stardust. And Tommy's playing this very well. He's going to swing with the Cavazels. Swing with the Stardust. Here, I know he's pretty much clear for my my Gores or my Treg. So I'm just going to deprison that Stardust in case I top deck like a Heavy Storm or something. And I'm going to pass it. Or, yeah, he's going to pass it back to me after that. I'm going to draw. Or actually, he attacks with Dolka. So I'm at 33 now. So Dolka swings after. He doesn't have any reason to be scared of Gores. He has the negate. And I'm going to go ahead and pitch a Gadget for Fortress. And that goes through. So I'm just going to set one here. You don't want to attack into this in case there's a Deep Prisoner Lance, and Fortress can be an annoying body for them to deal with. Because, yeah, if there's a Lance back there, I just get fried. Like, instantly fried. Or Deep Prison. So I'm just going to sit on this. Tommy's looking at his back row. He's going to flip Heavy Storm. I'm going to Chain Compulse on the Dolka. So Dolka is going to go back to the extra deck. And I think we kind of discussed this here. Tommy forgot to send his own back row to the grave, so Compulse will also leave. He doesn't chain it. Doesn't need to. He's going to go Rabbit, special summon 2 Cavazels, overlay for Dolka, and then play System down. And as said, I have Gores in my hand, but it does not matter with the Dolka. So we are now tied 1-1 in the bracket reset match, and we are heading into the final game of the day. I see, I think, 2 Deep Prison, Sabersaurus, and Needle Sealing in Tommy's hand. I'm going to lead with a Gear Frame. And I'm going to search a cannon. So pretty clear that I have a Fortress in my hand. Tommy's going to summon Sabersaurus. I'm just going to respond with a Bottomless to get that out of there. Again, can be kind of hard for me to clear bigger monsters, and a lot of my cards are +1s, so I'm fine trading my back row and just thinning my deck. I'm going to swing with the Gear Frame for 1800. And he's going to drop Gores on me. The only reason I attacked here is I know I don't instantly lose to Gores. It's kind of a resource-heavy play, but this should be hard for Dino Rabbit to stop. I'm going to go Fortress, pitching Fortress, and then pitch Cannon to bring that one back. And then we're going to overlay for a card that really only this deck and maybe Girya Karakuri can make in the format, which is Big Eye. And we're going to snatch up that Gores and set a back row pass. So Big Eye puts pretty good pressure. I can steal the token next turn. Tommy's just going to set a monster, set 3 back row, and in my draw phase, I get Needle Sealing. So this is really bad for me. This is just a +2 for Tommy. He does lose the token, but the token was the same card as Gores, so that's a very worthwhile trade, especially for something like a Big Eye that I commit so many resources into making. Tommy's going to flip a Sabersaurus. And I'm thinking here, I'm going to go ahead and Torrential this, because I don't want him to summon something else and then have Starlight. He's going to summon Thunder King and attack. I'm going to MST on the Declaration, and here I get really lucky, and I hit the 50-50 chance and hit his Solemn Warning, and I'm able to drop my Gores. I think this game is instantly cooked if I don't hit that warning. But now I got a Gores and a 19 token. I'm going to activate Avarice. Get some draws. And I don't really want to risk running into like a Deep Prison or Mirror Force this turn. And Gores is very hard for Dino Rabbit to get over. So I'm just going to go ahead and set to back row and pass. So I'm just going to draw, set another back row and pass back to me. Now I think the reason that I waited will be clear right here. So I'm going to swing with Gores into the Thunder King. This is good if he has Lance, it's a crash, but he's going to prison, and I waited a turn because I drew the Judgment off of Avarice, and I'm going to try and Judgment that and continue attacking. However, in battle step, he does have the Compulse and is going to compulse my Gores back to hand, which is pretty easy for Dino Rabbit to play around once they know you have it, so that's a very good play. He's going to pass back to me. Kind of thinking on what to do here. I'm going to pass back to him. He's going to set a back row and pass to me. I'm going to draw. I think I drew a dark hole here. So at this point, what I decide to do is, I'm pretty sure, is it this turn or the next one? No, we're going to Reborn. So I'm going to grab his Sabersaurus. And after that, I'm going to Mind Control the Thunder King. And overlay both of those for the Maestroke that I was using as a token. And yeah, Maestroke, again, just a little protected here in case there's a bottomless. It's one of the safer XYZs to make. Mirror Force, bottomless TT. I'm going to swing. That is going to get deprisoned, so bye-bye Maestroke. And that is, I believe, my turn. I'm just going to set one card, or no, just pass it back to Tommy. Tommy's going to draw, think about what to do here. And I think pass back to me there. I'm going to switch my token to attack and swing for 1900. So that's going to put him at 4300. And pass back to him. He's going to draw a card. Think about what to do here. He's going to summon a Cavazols, which is just going to eat another bottomless. So he's going to sit on the back row, pass to me. I'm kind of worried about a TT, so I'm just going to commit in with my token again for another 1900 damage. Pass to Tommy. Tommy's going to summon Thunder King and pass. I'm going to draw. I think here I go for the crash. Yeah, I go for the crash. And that is going to eat a Compulse. So my token goes bye-bye. Thankfully, I do have the Dark Hole in main phase 2 to clear the Thunder King. And just because I know that I need to establish something now, it is risky if he top decks like System Down, but if he top decks a Rabbit and I don't establish anything, I just die. So I'm just going to summon a Fortress. And I kind of know that one back row isn't very real, so he's going to set 2 more and pass. And I'm going to think for a tiny bit, and in the end I'm just going to swing in, and that is lethal. So I got really lucky with the 50-50, but it was a really good game. Thanks for watching. Hello everybody, it's Pudding here. Thanks for watching that video, and I just want to make a quick announcement, which should hopefully be exciting for anybody who wants to play REDU, and that is the people that created the Midwestern Edison Cup that recently ran with a SJC Dark End as a prize are going to be running the first ever IRL REDU Major, and that's going to be happening in February of next year. There's some really amazing prizes for that, including a Super Minerva for first and a Super Giant Hand for second. And all the proceeds they're getting are going to go to pediatric cancer research, so there's even a cool cause for you to play. We've partnered with the people that are going to run that in the Discord, and what we're going to do is we're going to host a Challenger Series Cup every single month. The first one is going to be, I believe, on Sunday, September 7th at 8 a.m. PST, 10 Central, and 11 Eastern. And those Challenger Cup series, they'll have a small cash prize at bare minimum. They're free to enter, and you'll also get discounted entry to the IRL redo event that's happening if you win one. And then we're also planning to do two more majors, uh, starting with Rivals 2, hopefully in November. And we're still figuring out the pricing for that. It's probably going to be some cash like it was last time. And we're thinking of doing either like some help with hotel accommodations, uh, or potentially flight accommodations to the IRL redo major happening in Ohio, as well as free entry to the winner. So I hope to see you guys in the Discord. As said, our first tournament will be on Sunday, the 7th of September. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.